Investing is a game of demographics. You want to pick markets that are ascending, not descending. And you can look at data points like population growth, percent of young people, and life expectancy to understand where the world is going. If you pick the right market, the trend will be your friend. If you pick the wrong market, you will have a strong headwind. If we take a look at life expectancy, we would expect the wealthiest nations to have the longest life expectancy. That's because they should have great health care, and their people should have a better life. But that isn't necessarily the case. We can use the United States as an example. Max Rosar and the team at Our World in Data point out that the United States has a lower life expectancy than other rich countries. They explain that this is because Americans suffer higher death rates from smoking, obesity, homicides, opioid overdoses, suicides, road accidents, and infant deaths. In addition to this, deeper poverty and less access to healthcare mean Americans at lower incomes die at a younger age than poor people in other rich countries. It is kind of crazy to think about that the United States doesn't have as long of a life expectancy as other wealthy nations. But wait, it gets even crazier. If you add in how much Americans spend on healthcare, the US is in a league of its own. No other wealthy nation has a life expectancy under the age of 80 years old. And no other wealthy nation spends healthcare expenditure per capita of more than $7,000. But the United States checks both boxes and puts us in a very weird, bad place. These statistics alone would be incredibly concerning. But there is now another data point that people who pay attention to national demographics are yelling and screaming about. The United States life expectancy has fallen below that of China, which is highly concerning. According to Mary Huai from Quartz, she says that this life expectancy decline from 2020 to 2021 dropped sharply to 76.1 years. This is the lowest it's been since 1996, according to the CDC, and it means that the gap in longevity at birth between people in the US and China has now widened to a full year. She then goes on to explain that the biggest driver in the drop in U.S. life expectancy is COVID, accounting for 50% of the decline, according to the CDC. And we have now clocked in over 1.04 million deaths in the U.S. attributed to the virus. Unintentional injuries like opioid overdoses and motor vehicle crashes also make up about 15% of the decline, which is the second largest contributor to the drop in life expectancy. Now, normally if we had life expectancy dropping, you would expect other demographic data points to make up for it, but that also is not happening. If we take a look at something like the fertility rate, what we see is that fertility in the United States has been dropping at an aggressive rate as well. In 1990, there was about 4.1 million births. By 2019, about 3 decades later, there was only 3.7 million births. According to census.gov, this means that in 1990, there was 70 births for every 1,000 women, and by 2019, that had dropped to 58 births per 1,000 women in the same age group. Anytime that you see life expectancy dropping and the fertility rate following suit, it is a cause for concern. Now, that doesn't mean that the United States is going to fail. It doesn't mean that you should go take all of your capital and pull it out of US markets. But it does tell us a story that we should dig deeper and we should better understand these demographic trends. If the life expectancy is shorter, less people are being born, and the population growth is slowing down, that usually means that a country's best times are behind them, not ahead. That would be incredibly unfortunate for the United States, which is the most developed nation in the world. These trends can be reversed, but it takes a lot of effort and education on behalf of politicians, people in positions of power and influence, and the everyday citizen. We need to have more children, and we need to improve our healthcare. We need to get the healthcare costs down so that more people can be healthier for longer. This is the type of hard problem that we need our country's smartest people working on. Because if not, the current trend is going to be a cause for concern in the coming decades. Demographics tell the story. Investing is simply trying to understand and synthesize what that demographic data is telling you. And at this current moment, it tells us, buyer beware. Hey you, did you like this video? Great, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and see you next time.